Confidence. It's basically the unspoken currency of the workplace, isn't it? Welcome. Today, we are exploring a really fascinating source module on mastering self-confidence and workplace presence, and we're going to break down exactly how to build an unshakable foundation for your career. If you're looking to truly understand the nitty-gritty mechanics of professional presence, we're going to use this explainer to extract the exact techniques this text recommends so you can elevate your mindset and ultimately your daily interactions.
Okay, let's dive into this. How do you actually project confidence everywhere you go? It's a question that haunts pretty much all of us at some point. Just think about the last time you had to walk into a really high-stakes meeting or pitch a totally new idea, or even just introduce yourself to a room full of complete strangers. That sudden spike in your heart rate, that creeping sense of imposter syndrome, it's a totally universal experience. The real challenge here is figuring out how to carry an undeniable, grounded presence with you into absolutely every future endeavor, no matter how intimidating the environment might be.
So let's get into it. Section 1, Boosting Your Self-Confidence, a toolkit for the future.
Which starts with mastering the inner mind, starting from within.
Now, what's really interesting about this approach is that to build a commanding external presence, the source module stresses we absolutely have to start internally. It introduces this incredibly powerful inside-out framework. The text makes a profound point. Confidence isn't some innate genetic trait that you're just born with. It's a mental muscle. And to actually train that muscle, the module lays out 3 specific internal pillars. First up is visualization, which is essentially cognitive scenario planning. Second is affirmation, acting as a tool for cognitive reframing. And third is dealing with inner critics, which really requires us to identify the exact triggers making us doubt our own capabilities. The core philosophy here? Before we can even attempt to command a room, we first have to master commanding our own thoughts.
Let's look at how the module frames this internal battle. On one side, we have the inner critic. Now, this isn't just some vague sense of worry. The text defines it as highly specific negative internal dialogue. It's literally that voice whispering, "You aren't qualified to speak up in this meeting." To conquer this, the source doesn't just recommend blind optimism. No way. Instead, it pairs the inner critic directly against affirmation, specifically evidence-based affirmations. So instead of hyping yourself up with, "I'm the smartest person in the world," which, let's be honest, your brain knows as an exaggeration, the module suggests countering with something grounded, like, "I've researched this topic thoroughly, and my perspective brings unique value to this team." By proactively using those grounded affirmations, we actively neutralize that harsh inner critic.
And the final piece of this internal preparation is visualization. Now, the text makes it crystal clear that this is not about passively daydreaming about success. Visualization is an active, highly detailed mental rehearsal that physically prepares the brain for future practice. The module advises us to really incorporate sensory details into this exercise. If you're prepping for a major presentation, don't just picture the audience applauding at the end. You need to actually visualize the weight of the clicker in your hand. Feel your feet planted firmly on the floor, and imagine hearing a tough question from your boss and calmly delivering your prepared answer. By building these neural pathways in advance, you are locking in that internal confidence well before you ever step foot into the physical room.
But how do we actually bridge that gap? Section 3, the behavioral method, from thought to action.
And this brilliantly illustrates the big pivot. How do we take all of that internal preparation and translate it into tangible, real-world results? I mean, we've got our affirmations, we're actively neutralizing the inner critic, and we've vividly visualized our success. Now what? Well, the text highlights a crucial turning point called the behavioral method. This method is firmly grounded in the psychological principle of acting as if. The module explains that waiting around until you actually feel completely confident before you take action, that's a losing strategy. Instead, the behavioral method requires us to adopt the practical actions and habits of a confident person first. By changing our outward behavior, we send safety signals right back to our brain, which in turn generates that internal feeling of confidence we were waiting for all along. It's the vital bridge between merely thinking confidently and practically boosting our self-confidence for literally any future application.
Let's move on and see how this builds into Section 4, Workplace Body Language, applying it on the job.
Taking the behavioral method directly into the professional environment requires a clear, actionable progression. Step 1 is to apply specific nonverbal techniques. The source details exactly what this looks like. It's holding eye contact for just a beat longer than is strictly comfortable, and keeping your shoulders pulled back to literally occupy more physical space in the room. Step 2 is utilizing purposeful body language. This is huge. It means intentionally eliminating that nervous, leaking energy we so often display without even realizing it. Things like tapping a pen, constantly shifting our weight from side to side, or crossing our arms defensively. Step 3 is the payoff. By intentionally managing these physical, nonverbal cues, the source notes a direct and measurable increase in self-confidence in the workplace. You are effectively reverse engineering professional presence, starting entirely from your posture.
So the crucial point here is that the entire architecture of this module boils down to consistency. Whether you're managing your inner critic with an evidence-based affirmation, employing the behavioral method, or just consciously adjusting your posture during a Zoom call, the text emphasizes that these aren't one-time quick fixes. They are micro-habits. The whole reason the source focuses so heavily on this portable toolkit is that true workplace presence is forged through repetition. Practicing these methods wherever you go in the future is exactly what transforms a temporary boost of bravery into a permanent, unshakable state of professional confidence.
Which leaves us with a really vital question to consider. Which specific confidence technique are you going to bring to work tomorrow? Because knowledge is only power when it's actually applied. Will you spend 2 minutes tomorrow morning actively visualizing a successful outcome for your biggest meeting? Or maybe you'll focus entirely on planting your feet and eliminating nervous gestures while your colleagues are speaking. Take these detailed insights from the source material, pick just one micro-habit, and test it out tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.